What is up, everybody? Coach Chad here, the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you very much. All right, we're going to go ahead and waste no time. You guys know my goal with the YouTube, with the podcast. I want to give online fitness coaches valuable information in 20 minutes or less. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about sales, specifically the discovery portion of your sales call. So the discovery portion of your sales call is from the second they pop in your Zoom room to the point where you're about to transition into the presentation. Usually this section is 15 to 20 minutes long, and the whole entire goal of this section is to create connection, find out what their why is, create pain, but also see if this individual is a good fit. Now, I've taken thousands and thousands and thousands of calls as an online fitness coach myself, and now as an online business coaching mentor for fitness coaches. And I feel like I've come up with what I think are the 7 most important aspects of a extremely powerful discovery section. Guys, I think this is one of the most important sections of the sales call. You can be really great at objection handling. You can have the best product or program or service in the world, but if your discovery section is not down pat, it is going to be very, very hard to close. And honestly, you can solve and prevent a lot of objections by having a really great discovery section. The reason that you get objections at the end of the sales call is because your discovery section sucks. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into these 7 tips. All right, what's number 1? The first thing that is extremely critical on your discovery section is to make sure you set the tone for the call. All right, if you've ever gotten on the call and they just start rambling, it's because you never set the tone. If you ever got on the call and then at the end when you pitch the price, they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting to talk about that today. It's because you didn't set the tone. All right, so what does setting the tone mean and what does it look like? All right, it means to tell them this is what you can expect for the call. All right, so basically here's what I say. I say, hey, super excited to chat today. For the first 15 to 20 minutes, I'm just gonna ask some questions and make sure that we can 100% help you. If I feel really confident that we can, I'm actually gonna share my screen and I'm gonna show you everything that NLCA has to offer. If at the end of that presentation, if you think it's a good fit, and if I think it's a good fit, then we'll talk about potential next steps to join our program. Does that sound good? And then from there, they say yes, which them saying yes confirms that they understand what this call is about, and now I've officially set the tone for the call. I told them that we're gonna do a discovery section, we're gonna go over our program, and if at the end of that, if they think it's a good fit and if I think it's a good fit, we're gonna talk about the investment, we're gonna talk about moving forward today. That's setting the tone, that's tip number 1. Now, tip number 2, establishing the why and tying down the why as well. All right, so more specifically the why of the why. All right, so when I'm talking to and training my closers on my sales team, I don't tell them to get the why. I tell them to get the why of the why. All right, here's what that means. A lot of times when we ask individuals, hey, why are you on the call? What's the biggest reason you want to make this change? We get a very surface level answer, right? The surface level answer that we get, if I'm talking about weight loss or if I'm talking about fitness, would be like, hey, so what's the biggest reason for being on the call today? Why do you want to change your health and fitness? If they say, well, I just want to feel better, I just want to look better, I want to fit better in my shirt, that's all surface level shit, right? We got to make sure we dig deeper to find the real reason they're on the call. This is the most important part of the whole entire call. If you cannot figure out the why, it's going to be very hard for you to handle objections. Because if we have the deep intrinsic reason why they want to make this change, they can't say anything. If they say, I need to think about it, right? Or they say, oh, I got to talk to my spouse, or oh, it's too much money. We have the most powerful piece of information, which is the main reason they want to make this change. That is the most leverage. I call that the silver bullet. What is the silver bullet? In the discovery section, you got to find the silver bullet, the one thing that you can use if you get an objection. You're going to find it in the why section. All right, so here's what I do. So once I've set the tone for the call, the very first question I ask is I say, hey, really excited to have this conversation today. What's the biggest reason you're on the call today? Why do you want to make this change? And then for me, it's career change, right? Because I'm helping people start online fitness coaching businesses. For you, it would say, why do you want to change your health and fitness? All right, you're going to get a surface level answer. When you get a surface level answer, you're going to say, that's amazing that you want to feel better. It's amazing that you want to look better. What would feeling better and looking better, how would that change your life? How would it make it different than it is now? And then from there, you're going to unlock the next layer. And maybe the next layer they say is, well, if I feel better, it would make me a better spouse. Oh, wow, how would it make you a better spouse, right? And you just you have to be curious. You have to keep asking curiosity questions to get deeper and deeper and deeper until you find that main reason why they're on the call. Now, when you feel like you have found the main reason on the call, you want to make sure you tie that down. All right, so what that means is you're gonna ask a question to confirm that this is the biggest reason they're on the call today. Once you have that confirmation, then you know, all right, I got the why, I can continue to move on in the discovery section. So here's what that looks like. All right, so when you feel like you have the why, you wanna say, all right, so I just wanna make sure I have this right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the biggest reason you're on the call today is X, Y, Z. And then from there, they're either gonna say, yep, that's it, to which then you can confirm that you have the why, or they're gonna say, well, yes, but, and then they're gonna add to it. And when they add to it, they're filling in the information that you missed and giving you the why. All right, now in this section, a couple other questions that I like to ask to dig deeper is I'll say, how long have you been feeling this way? Right, so if they're like, man, I've been really tired, I'm not liking the way that I look, right? I'll ask them, like, how long have you felt this way, right? And usually it's gonna be a pretty long time, right? If they say, man, I've been feeling this way for the past 2 to 3 years, there's a lot of pain there, right? And if there's a lot of pain there, there's a lot of desire to make a change. So when somebody gives you an objection at the end of the call saying that they can't afford it, right? We could turn around and say, hey, let me ask you this. For the past 2 to 3 years, you've been wanting to make this change. For the past 2 to 3 years, you haven't been feeling your best self. Do you think that paying $2,000 is worth getting rid of all of that pain, getting rid of feeling like crap to finally make a difference in your life? Right? You have the leverage, you have the control. So I'll always ask them, how long have you been feeling this way? And then once again, I've given you this one, but I want to give it again because I think it's really good. What would XYZ do that you can't do now? What would feeling better do that you can't do now? Right? What would losing 20 pounds do that you can't do now? Right? That's how you figure out the why of the why. All right, so we talked about setting the tone. We talked about establishing the why and tying down to make sure we confirm that we have that why. All right, number 3, we need to establish a goal and the importance of that goal. So very simply what that transition looks like is you say, amazing, I really feel confident on the biggest reason why you're on the call today. What exactly is your goal? Like let's actually attach a number to it. The reason I want to attach a number to it is then I can give you a timeline. Are you looking to lose weight? How much weight are you looking to lose? Wow, okay, great, you're looking to lose 30 pounds. So if we're gonna do this extremely healthy, if we're gonna do this the right way, we're gonna lose probably about 4 to 5 pounds a month. So we're looking at probably about 6 months to lose those 30 pounds. What am I doing? What I'm doing is I'm setting the stage for longevity, which means then when we present the offer, the different packages that we have, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, they're gonna choose the longer term packages because I set the tone. Right? I said, hey, if we want to lose these 30 pounds, we got to give ourselves at least a 6-month runway. So they're not going to want the 3-month program. They're either going to want the 6-month or the 12-month program, right? And if I wanted to sell that person the 12-month, I would say, great. So we're going to lose those 30 pounds in 6 months. What would be your goal after those 6 months? All right, great. You want to get jacked. You want to build muscle. All right, we're probably really looking at a year-long transformation here to lose the weight and then to recomp our body. Right? So once again, I'm setting the stage, I'm setting the tone that they need that longer term package. All right, so that's establishing the goal. Now, once I have the goal established, I want to establish the level of importance of this goal. All right, this is a qualifying question. Qualifying meaning, are they good for my program? So here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna say, all right, so I feel really clear on your vision. I feel really clear on your goal of wanting to lose these 30 pounds and recomp your body. Tell me this, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you really don't give a crap, 10 being you have to make this vision a reality, where do you fall on that scale of 1 to 10? Okay, so if they say 10, you're gonna wanna say 10, that's amazing. Why are you a 10? You're gonna wanna ask them why they're a 10. You want them to sell you on the fact that they're a 10, And also, you're going to get more additional information. You're going to get more of their why. And you might be like, Chad, this sounds really repetitive. It is repetitive, and I guarantee you're not going to get a repeat answer. I guarantee you're going to get new information if you ask them why they are a 10 and why this is so important for them to accomplish right now. All right, if they are anything below a 10, a 9, an 8, a 7, you want to ask them what's holding you back from being a 10. All right, at this point, you're probably going to get some form of a concern or an objection, and that's a good thing. Now we get to handle this concern and objection before we pitch the price. All right, so maybe they say, well, I'm not sure if I have the time for this program. Hey, totally get that. We've actually mapped out our whole entire program. And in order to do this consistently, you only need to give us 6 hours a week. Do you have 6 hours a week? Of course you do. Great. All right, so now that you know that information, scale of 1 to 10, what do you feel like you are now? Well, I'm a 10. Amazing. Why are you a 10? Why is it so important for you? All right, so once we've answered what I just did there, what I just role played for you, is we answered the concern, re-asked the 1 to 10 question, got a 10, and then asked why are they a 10. All right, now there are going to be times where you ask the 1 to 10 question and you get something less than an 8. All right, for me, I'm only moving forward on the call if they are an 8, 9, or 10. That to me is enough motivation where they're probably going to buy something. All right, they're probably going to invest. And beyond just investing, they're probably going to be a good student if they're an 8, 9, or 10. If they are below an 8, to me, that is not enough motivation to actually to make an investment. But if somehow somebody less than an 8 did make an investment, it's not enough motivation for them to be a successful student. And if they're not a successful student, it's going to look bad on your brand. It's going to come back to you in some way, shape, or form. So if they tell me they're a 7 or a 6 or a 5, and I ask them what's holding them back from being a 10, and I can't get that number from a 7 to a 8, 9, or 10 or whatever, if I can't get that number up, and or if I don't feel like they actually really are that motivated, I will politely end the call right then and there. I will send them to our free community, and then I will say, hey, let's check back in a month and see where you're at. All right, that's how you handle it professionally. Okay, now we've gone over setting the tone, establishing the why, establishing the goal and the level of importance. The next thing that you want to do in your discovery is figure out what are their challenges and tie down any concerns. So how you want to ask this is you want to say, all right, so I know you're on this call because you're looking for help. What do you feel like are the biggest challenges? Like what would hold you back from just figuring this out on your own? All right, they're going to give you a list of challenges. This is really important. Why is this important? Because when you get into the presentation portion of the call, you can highlight how you're going to solve those challenges with your program. All right, this is also important because they might give you some concerns. Time could be a concern. Finances can be a concern. And once again, you want to answer these concerns before they become objections, all right? So I've already given you the example for time. Let me give you the example for finances. So if I asked the challenge question, somebody said finances are the biggest challenge, I would say, hey, no worries at all. Look, if we get to the end of this call and you think it's a great fit, and I think it's a great fit, are you open to getting resourceful financially to see if we can make this work? If they say yes, great, I've tied down that concern and I can continue on. Now, another really powerful question that you want to ask in the challenge section is you want to ask them, do you have any mindset concerns that are holding you back from being successful in this? All right, this is where you're going to hear imposter syndrome, fear of failure, doubt. And once again, we want to answer those. We want to tie those down. So my favorite go-to on any mindset challenge is always this. I always want to say, hey, totally get it. Honestly, I would be scared if you weren't a little scared. But let me ask you this. You have a really important goal. You have a really important vision. Are you going to let something as silly as fear of the unknown hold you back from accomplishing that? All right, they're going to tell me no, and then I'm going to say, great, then it's not a concern then. And I've just handled that concern. All right, so that's the challenge and tie down section. The next section that you want to have on your discovery is the tried section. All right, so what we're doing here is we're trying to create the gap between where they are at and where they want to be. The wider that gap is, the more they need your service. The closer that gap is, the less that they need help, right? If somebody tells me they want to lose 5 pounds, there's not a huge gap between where they're at and where they want to be. But if they need to lose 50 pounds, there is a huge gap between where they're at and where they want to be. All right, so what is this section going to look like? All right, so if they actually have tried things, so if I say, hey, what have you tried so far to lose these 50 pounds? And they list out, well, I've tried keto and intermittent fasting and this and that and this and that. I would say, hey, look, I just want to congratulate you for continuing to try. Let me ask you this. It sounds like you've tried a lot of things on your own, and it sounds like you're ready to get help. Is that fair? They say yes. All right, why do I do that? The reason I do that is because I'm getting them to verbally confirm that they are no longer interested in trying to figure this out on their own, and that they do actually want help. All right, so that's really important. Talk about the things that they have tried. Oh, I forgot. When you're talking about the things that they have tried, ask them like, man, has that been frustrating? Like, tell me about that. Like, man, you've tried so many things. Has that been frustrating for you? You want to ask that first. Then you want to ask the tie-down question to confirm that they are no longer interested in doing this on their own. Okay, now, sometimes you're going to ask the tried question, what have you tried? And they're going to say, well, I haven't tried anything yet. This is my first steps. That's okay. Don't panic. Check this out. So if somebody says that, I'm going to say, hey, no worries. Congratulations on making that first step. How long has this been a thought of yours? Like, how long have you been thinking about making this change? I'll ask that question. From there, they might say like, oh, 2 years or so or whatever. And I'm going to say, man, wow, all right, so you've been thinking about losing this weight for 2 years. Why haven't you gotten started earlier? Boom, this is a power question. This is a power question, all right? Why is this question so powerful? This question is powerful because it is going to tell you all of the things that have gotten in the way of them starting. And if they have gotten in the way of them starting in the past, guess what? They're going to get away in the starting of. They're going to get in the way of them starting right now. All right, which means we need to solve those problems. Hopefully you guys are seeing as I'm going through this, but the whole entire goal of the discovery is to solve these problems now before you pitch the price. All right, so that's the tried section. 2 more sections. All right, the next section for your discovery call is getting them to see the future vision. There's a fork in the road, right? They are in the fork in the road right now. They're going to go one way or the other way. All right, you have to paint this vision for them. And this is what this question does. So usually how I go into this question is I say, hey, are you open to playing a little game? They say yes. I say, all right, cool. So let's imagine this. Let's imagine that you don't get started on losing these 50 pounds. 12 months from now, you haven't lost the 50 pounds. What would life look like if that were the case? What else? What else? What else? Get them to spill the whole negative vision. Then you say, all right, enough negativity. Let's talk about something positive. All right, let's say you do commit to this. 12 months from now, you're down those 50 pounds. What does life look like then? What else? What else? What else? You paint that perfect positive vision. Once they've painted the perfect positive vision, you're then going to say, so my question to you, are you willing to settle for anything less than that? They're going to say no, and then I'm going to say, great, well, hey, I'm excited to help you. All right, last question, very important. The last question for the discovery is going to be the need and the recap section. All right, so at this point, you're going to say, all right, awesome. So one more question before we get into everything. You got on this call hoping that we could provide you something. What exactly do you feel like you need from us? All right, figure out exactly what they need. Really important question. Why is this so important? Because once we know what they need, right, once again, when we go into the presentation, we're going to highlight those things that they need, and then that will check off the box in their head that this is the right program for them. After you've gotten the need, you want to recap the whole entire call. So this is what I do. I say, all right, call's been amazing so far. I just want to go through my notes. Let me know if I missed anything. And then I'll start from the top. I'll say, all right, so this is where you're at. This is why you want to make the change. This is your goal. This is what you're struggling with. This is what you've tried, and this is what you need from us. Is that right? They say yes. Usually they're like, wow, you really listened. Like, of course I listened, right? It shows that you're a listener, which great coaches are listeners, and then you go right into the presentation. Hopefully that was 20 minutes or less. It felt like it was more than 20 minutes, but I damn for sure know that that was valuable. If you guys enjoyed this and you guys are looking for more tips like this, right? You're like, man, like this was great. Like I would love to get this on a consistent basis. First and foremost, subscribe on YouTube or the podcast. But if you want to get one-to-one coaching from us, and or if you can't afford our one-to-one coaching program but you want to get coaching from us in general, there's going to be a link in the comment, or not the comment section, sorry. There's going to be a link in the about section on how to work with us. Click that. We'll fill out your application. We'll review your application. We'll get you on a call, and we'll see if it's a good fit. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.